So I got this great app called Simple Habits. And now I'm up to like 15 minutes a day. So my goal is at some point to be able to do 30 minutes a day of meditation. And the last one, E, of course, means exercise. Try to exercise every day. Take a break. Go out of the office. Take a walk. Do something. So he says, in order for you to elevate, you have to make more time. T-I-M-E. Okay? And then we talked about a great question to ask yourself in times like this. Whenever there is a challenge, and I'm going to leave you with this to close, whenever there is a challenge or something that is happening to you or for you, the question should be, what is this teaching me now? What is this teaching me now? And then once you come up with the answer on that, how do you adopt and accept change? Because everyone, change is inevitable. And what do I like to say? Growth is optional. So the conversation is on Monday Mindset, how do we become better? Because as we become better, we can be better for others. And right now, more than anything, we need alignment, we need unity, we need to teamify, we need to work together as an industry, as people. And we, you know, and coming from Hawaii and being born in Hawaii, I'm used to diversity. So sometimes I don't get this divide, and there is always going to be a divide. And I can't relate to a lot of it in the sense I'm not a male Black man, but I can relate to being an Asian woman when you're looking in business and you're trying to get up in the world, you know. So there's just differences, and we need to accept everyone's differences. And I so appreciate coming from a place of Hawaii and coming from that diversity. And I know through resilience and pain, through this all, everybody, we're going to learn so much on the other side of this. We're going to go from survive to thrive. So thank you so much for letting me be a part of Monday Mindset. I trust that the information I gave you was good. I'll also send it in an email so you guys can, I'll put it in the chat while you guys are talking.
Thanks, Colette.
Right. You're welcome.
Appreciate that. Amazing insight. I just want to piggyback off it really quick. One of the ways I really encourage, for those of us that are part of the Keller Williams Associates or the umbrella, we got an amazing letter from our CEO encouraging us to do better and elevate as well. And just something I want to highlight for all of us is just what stood out to me is he said we need to listen right now. It's time to listen. It's so easy for us to tell everyone what to do and to think we have all the answers, but there's so much more we can learn every day. And so I just encourage everyone to take some time, and when we think we know exactly what's happening or exactly where everyone's coming from on this, there's always more to learn and always more stories to listen. So Cheryl, if you guys have stories or if you have resources that we can educate ourselves and continue to educate ourselves, please share them in the chat box. I can put some out later as well. I've been doing a lot of reading, and it was, Colette, thanks for sharing that and being honest. It was tough to get going today. I felt the same way. It's tough to get started. And, I just moved to Hawaii from Minneapolis. And there's a lot of my friends there and businesses, and they're out fighting for justice right now. And I wish I could be there with them. And so I just encourage all of us anyway, if we can do a better job of listening and educating ourselves, I believe that's maybe a great first step to coming together. So thanks to Colette. And now I'm excited. Hold on, how do I go next here? My PowerPoint, sorry. Quick recap on our Monday Mindset. I just like to shout out our previous guests. We've had Russ and Shar Tong from the Tongan Partners, Jared Larson from Next Title, Barb and Lee Potts from our own KW team Aloha Group Maui. But today, my friend with her amazing new haircut and her birthday on Friday, I'd like to welcome, not only is she the owner and event designer of her own company, Little Details, and you do a ton of stuff there, Latasha, public speaking, staging, event planning, but she's also our tech and marketing concierge here at KW Maui, and just I'm just so honored. It's been so fun working with you so far, and we planned this for a couple weeks now. I've been waiting to hear you speak on this, so I am excited to hear what you got for us, Latasha. Take it away.
Yay! Well, thank you so much for the opportunity. Thanks for being asked. Thanks for Lisa's blessing. I just wanted to say I'm very excited to be here. I've actually planned this topic as soon as I got the invitation, and just the more and more things happened, how things transpired over the weekend and all the stuff that's been going on, it's really appropriate. And a lot of what Colette was talking about will also be reiterated in some of the conversations that I have. So some of you may not know, but I used to be a school teacher. So I'm putting on my school teacher hat. I do have a presentation. I will not keep you all day, I promise. But just want to, for those auditory processors, you'll hear my voice. And for those that are more visual in terms of their learning, I'm gonna have a PowerPoint slide. So I'm gonna grab this real quick, if I can.
Sorry, Latasha, I had to stop sharing.
That's okay. Can everybody see that?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. So the title of today is Moving Forward. It's a personal charge up. And so I really want to stress when we're talking about moving forward, when we're talking about, moving forward, regardless of our current circumstance, a lot of it has to do with a personal, your personal, what motivates you personally. And a lot of times we forget that, but it's so simple to easily be overlooked. And so I want to talk about that a little bit. Many of you may know I'm the owner and lead designer of Little Details LLC. How I actually started out getting into motivational speaking is that I've been doing event planning for over 25 years. And so I was being asked when I was in Colorado, oftentimes to come and talk to new planners and to encourage them, help them, tips of the trade, get up to speed in terms of the event industry. And from there, I started doing a lot of speaking engagements. I'm also a part of the Big Brother, Big Sister of Maui, so I'm on the board. I'm actually the board president for Maui chapter. And so I do a lot of speaking with the boys and girls there. And so it's just a platform for me to speak my heart, to speak my truth, and to help encourage people. Whoops. Sorry. There we go. So move forward. How do we move forward? One of the things that happens when we move forward is a lot of times we focus on the external things in terms of, our work, our ambition. For me, it's about, what my work experience has been professionally. And I used to be a teacher, as I mentioned, sales and marketing, business development, all of those things, event planning and design, those things that I do, those are all external. But how we move forward is about our personal attributes, who we are as a people, what fundamentally am I made of? And so I wanted to take the time to hone in on that. I want to share a couple of things about who I am and let that drive the whole presentation in a sense of my personal attributes are happy, positive, I love life, I'm compassionate, passionate, I believe in excellence, I believe in integrity, honesty, trustworthy, and I'm dependable. One of the things that guides me every single day, no matter what's going on, is who am I? What do I bring to the table? And then also thinking in terms of, not to be in a sense of morbid, but when I leave this earth, what am I contributing? What am I leaving behind? It's more important to me to be a person of integrity, to stand up and to believe in something, tend to have a whole bunch of accolades, a whole bunch of accomplishments. Don't get me wrong, I have a lot of accomplishments, but the most important thing that I'm proud of is when I hear people say, you're such a good friend to me. I appreciate your smile. I appreciate you, going the extra mile. Those things are what makes who you are, and those things add longevity. Lisa probably knows this more than any of you, but I am a planner. I come up with plans 3 and 4 years down the road, and I'm organized. And I think I was born organizing pretty much. And I told Lisa a long time ago that my mom told me that I came out of the womb just dictating. saying what's going to happen and what's going on, and not in a haughty sense like I know everything. Because one of the things I want to stress in that, even though I do have a take charge personality, I do not lead when I'm supposed to follow. So when I know I'm supposed to follow someone, I follow them. When I know it's time to step up and lead, I have no problems doing that. So let's take a look at the personality in terms of some traits and how we can move forward. There's a lot of turmoil that we've talked about and Colette's talked about and today, and it's awakened us in some ways, and it's also shaken us in many ways. There's fear and there's uncertainty, those that are struggling physically, financially, and emotionally. But how do we harness that? How do we, instead of just standing back or not doing anything, how do we move forward? It's about understanding who we are as a people, as a person. So think about this. What are your responsibilities? Who are you responsible for? Think about that for a minute. What are your responsibilities and who are you responsible for? The next thing, the most important thing, who is taking care of you? Who is taking care of you? Keep that in mind, and I'm going to show you this. It's what I call my personal charge up. On the left-hand side, you see a socket. There's no other room to be plugged in. There's no other charging. That's how we go through life. We go through life a lot like this. There are people that are, connected to us that we're responsible for, responsibilities. And when we have time for ourselves, we're like that electrical socket. We can't get plugged. We can't get charged because we've got everybody else and every other thing plugged into us, and we can't give to ourselves. My grandmother told me a long time ago, you cannot give what you don't have. If I don't have $100 and you ask me for $100, I can't give it to you. But oftentimes we don't think about it from an emotional standpoint. Sometimes we're looking for people to be that motivation for us. If they don't have it in them, they can't give it to us. And so we've got to make sure that we take care of ourselves before we can go out and take care of other people. So the one on the right is what I'm striving for. Some days I do better than others, but this is what I'm striving for. I'm constantly hoping that I have a charge left for me to make sure that when I go out in the world, when I'm working, when I'm doing whatever, that I'm giving my best, I'm giving my all. So the first tip in terms of being personally charged is expectations. A lot of times we look at expectations as external. What expectations do we have for our spouse or our mother or our parents or sisters and siblings? What are the expectations that you have for yourself? Hold yourself accountable to your expectations, not somebody else's expectations. A lot of times we act based on other people's expectations. We've got to get to the point where we're self-confident, self-reliant to know what we believe in, stand in that, and move forward in that. Not until you really take an assessment of where you are, what your expectations are for you that are also realistic, then we can move forward. The second one, responsive to your needs. How responsive are you to your needs? Not your sister's needs, not your brother's, not your sibling, not your children, not your mother, your needs. When you need something, you ought to be your biggest, loudest champion and do what it takes to make sure you take care of yourself, not in a self-haughty way, but taking care of yourself so you can be on that left side of the charge where you'll always be able to recharge yourself to move forward. You can't move forward on a dead battery. You just cannot. The third thing, unblur your relationships. What I mean by that is this. Especially for me being an event planner, I deal with a lot of bridezillas. And I have to be very clear about what my personal relationship is versus what my business relationship is. Because if I don't make that distinction and set those boundaries very clear, they will overstep those boundaries. And it's not their fault, it's my fault. If I don't set clear expectations of how I want to be treated, how I want people to react to me, that's because I haven't set the boundaries. I haven't set the expectations of how this is going to go. And I'm very clear about that, not only professionally, but also personally. I am my biggest cheerleader, my biggest advocate. I do not have a problem standing up for myself and standing up for what I believe in. I will never, ever be disrespectful to someone, but I will always say my truth and say it politely, but mean it from the heart. And this one, the next one is you're going to have to cut some people out of your life. I call it the miss me people, meaning miss me with that. I don't have time for gossip. I don't have time for shenanigans. I don't have time for people with negativity. I have no room, no space for that. So I call them the miss me people. You can miss me with that. I love you, but I'll love you from a distance. And so sometimes that may, be a little harsh. And I'm not saying you have to say it like that, but that's really what it's about. It's about protecting yourself, giving you those boundaries in that space so that you can flourish and be the best you that you can be. So the fourth tip is hours of operation. I know this sounds crazy coming from a personal perspective, but when we look at hours of operation, we always associate it with the business example. How late are you open, or when do you open, or when do you close? When do you open as a person? When do you close? When do you rise? When do you go to sleep? Do you have a system? When I don't have kids, but I do know this, is that kids are taught structure in terms of they have a nighttime routine. How many adults have a nighttime routine? I have a nighttime routine. I treat myself in that regard as a child. I make sure that I have clear boundaries and expectations of when I'm working and when I'm not working, when I'm spending time with my husband, when I'm spending time with my family. I will do several things to do that. I will make sure at a certain time I'm cutting off my phone. I will make sure that, use technology. I cut off my phone in a sense that if I have my dad and my husband as emergency, so they can break in, but all my stuff goes to silent at 9 p.m. After that, crickets. I don't respond. If the house is not on fire, don't call me. I will respond in the morning. And so, you just have to find that balance for you. But the thing is set your hours of operation so that you can wake up the next morning feeling refreshed, rejuvenated, and ready to go. The fifth one is about, the personal charge, the tools that you have and the resources. For me, my tools are, I have a place in my house, which is my office, where I get up in the morning, I have my meditation time, I work out, I answer my emails, I start my day out like that. How I end my day is the very same thing. I have tools in terms of using technology to make sure, my phone is not ringing out hours of the night, making sure that I have a system. So making sure that you have the tools, the resources that you need to make sure that you are always in a state of being constantly recharged. That's it. So I just really want to encourage you to make sure that you take the time, do what's necessary to make sure that you are always constantly staying recharged so you can go out and give to the world and stand in unity and be all those things, but making sure you do it with a structure in place so you don't get burnt out, so you can make sure that you wake up rejuvenated and alive. The one thing I do want to end with, some of you may have called me and my voicemail has this. I hope that someone or something puts a sparkle in the rest of your day. Aloha. Thank you.
Nice job.
Thank you, Latasha. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh. This is
Thank you, Latasha. Taught me a lot.
Those 5 tips are gonna, if we implement those,
Awesome.
I firmly believe, we'll be kicking some butt. I have a question. Did anyone have questions for Latasha real quick? Some questions or some ahas from today, something that stood out to you?
Take care of me first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. Take care of me first.
Recharging.
What was that?
Recharging, charging yourself up.
Yes.
My coach said today, in your 411 plan, I don't see any fun. I said, I got to put that
F-U-N.
Oh, there you are. I didn't know you were on.
Awesome. Thanks. Who else? Anyone, any questions? Any questions for Latasha? Oh, we have one from Aaron here. He says, do you have during the day, do you have a tip for a good way to have a quick recharge? What do you do for a quick recharge?
So what I do is, especially when I was working from home and now, sometimes I just go for a walk. I mean, that's the easiest thing that I do. I'd go for a walk, even if it's a walk to the post office. If I've got to go mail some stuff, instead of jumping in the car, I'll go walk to the post office. Another thing that I do is I take a little dance break. I do that because I love to dance. I will take a little dance break. I'm goofy. For those of you that don't know me, my husband and I have some special phrases. I probably shouldn't be sharing this, but I'm going to share it anyway. So there's a commercial, and it's kind of a PSA about, social distancing. And there's this like little line that says, 20 seconds, boo, 20 seconds, boo, like wash your hands. So then just, throughout the day, if my husband's home, I'll go walk up to him and I'll look at him and I'm like, 20 seconds, boo, 20 seconds, boo, so just crazy, just doing little fun things or just having a little crazy moment. That's what I do. And, I listen to music a lot. So I love to just incorporate those things throughout the day. So I always have that constant burst of energy.
That's awesome.
I have a question.
Oh, yep, go ahead.
I was wondering, Natasha, I've never found out, but where are you from and how long have you lived in? Are you from Hawaii or are you?
No, so great question, Dean. So I'm originally from Fort Wayne, Indiana. I have to slow my speaking sometimes because I get to talking very fast. Then I went to Michigan, graduated from the University of Michigan, then moved to Denver, and then Denver to here. So I've been here for 6 years.
6 years? Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, we look forward to you whipping us into shape on the west side.
I am so happy to be there and so glad. All the agents have been very warm and receptive, so I really appreciate that.
Good.
Yes,
Don't worry,
Carrie
she
said go
will.
blue.
She will, but it'll be in a nice way. You'll never know what hit you.
She has a great class tomorrow morning. Tell us about that for a moment.
Yeah, so I'm getting into designs really intensively, trying to focus and shift all of our efforts to Command. So tomorrow I'm doing a class on designing the buyer's presentation. So that's what we're going to be focusing on, learning some tips and tricks about how to do that. So we're going to walk through from A to Z how to design a buyer's presentation.
That's so helpful.
Join me at 10.
Yeah, thank you. I have a question. If one of the agents can just, if you guys can put these in the chat box so you can write them fast. I just have some follow-up questions from Latasha's content, and I want to save the chat after. So if you guys can put them in there, I just want to know what are the number 5, that last tips. It stood out. What are your tools? What are your tools for recharging? What are those some things that you have that you can pull out of your toolbox to recharge? If you could share those. If you're some of the things that you guys use. I'm going to ask a couple of questions, and if you could just share the answers in the chat box for any of these questions, it would be awesome. What are your hours of operation? What are some routines you have? How do you set boundaries? If anyone wants to share any of those things in the chat box, I'd love to see that. Another one was, what are your expectations of yourself? Who's taking care of you? All those questions Latasha asked during her presentation, if you can share those in the chat box, I'd love to see that. Maybe give you a couple minutes here. Lisa said, sleeping in on Sundays and hanging out with petting my cat recharges me. That's always good, petting those fur babies. Any other shares that people can put in there of today? Also, if you have any, back to what Colette was talking about, if you have any resources that we can use to educate ourselves on what's happening. Oh, here they come. Nicole says, I have grab and go thoughts. Really great places I can escape to when I need a mental break. That's awesome.
Good. That's good.
Really working on that, think of a happy place, go think happy thoughts kind of thing. It works. Jeannie says, I have a glider behind me. Great for breaks with music. Oh, there it is. Thanks, Jeannie. I can see you. Wakes me right up. Colette says, walking 8 miles every Saturday and not checking emails.
That's a good one.
Dang. Oh, and someone has their dogs barking. That'll wake you up.
Yeah, that's my dogs.
Sorry, I have a cough.
Sorry.
Ann Heron says, dogs. Michelle Belch says, 8 hours sleep is really helpful. Walking minimum 30 minutes every day. Quiet time and blue space therapy at the
Good boy.
ocean therapy. We're very lucky on Maui to have the ocean. So continue to share. We're going to wrap up here, but it's nice to see what everyone does because we can learn from each other. we can take these tools that other people might be using. Latasha, any closing thoughts on your part?
I would just say, make sure that the biggest thing that I would say is just make sure that you take time for yourself. As we forge ahead in the tough times that we have, we all need to be our best so we can give our best. So that's what I would say.
Be
What
our
a great
best
ending.
so that we can
Yes.
give our best. Thank you, Latasha.
Perfect.
Nice job.
Thank you.
So anyway, you guys, thank you so
Bye,
much.
y'all.
We'll see you next week.
Are we meeting?
And then for those that are KW agents on here, which is mostly everybody, KW Maui agents, we have our our Mission Possible call at 8:30 tomorrow morning. It is no longer at 4:30. Our Tuesday through Friday Mission Possible calls are at 8:30 in the morning now. I know everyone liked those, so hope to see you all tomorrow. Thank you, Latasha.
Thank you.
Talk to you all soon. Aloha.
Thanks, Todd. That was great. Appreciate it.